All right, Sarah, I'll do it the normal style. I've done it like 14 times already. We're here at Legal Week 2019 on the 43rd floor of the Hilton with Jeff Marple, the head of innovation at Liberty Mutual. So, Jeff, what I wanted to ask you is to talk about your role and why it's head of innovation at Liberty Mutual, not head of legal innovation.
No, it is actually head of innovation within legal.
Head of innovation within legal.
Yes. Okay.
So how did you come around to this position? Like what got you here? How have you found yourself in this position? Why did Liberty Mutual create a position like this?
Sure. So I found this position because I was doing innovation in our commercial insurance claims operation before that. Prior to that, I worked in a customer-facing risk management information system, which is basically online banking, but for commercial insurance is the way that I describe it. It's I worked there for 14 years doing software development, so I was sort of steeped in technology to begin with. Came up, got noticed by someone and did claims innovation for a few years. And then when there was a change in legal operations in our organization, that gentleman wanted to create a innovation function within legal. Sort of the right time, I think, given the explosion in legal technology.
That was what year?
This was 3 years ago. So this was.
Oh, this is like as the as like the new wave of companies were coming out.
It was the first year clock was in Las Vegas, so it's like timed with the explosion of sort of legal ops, and that legal ops is coming. It's legal ops' time. Well, it was exactly the time that I got the job, and I sort of steeped myself in legal technology from there on out.
Do you consider yourself? Is there a head of legal operations at Liberty Mutual?
Yes, we call it legal strategic services, but yes, there is a head.
Why does he call it legal strategic services as opposed to operations? It's essentially the same role. Does that person come to clock into the legal ops? Because I actually see you and Bob at a lot of these events.
Kieran Malvarapu is his name. He spoke at Clock last year. He is definitely prominent in ACC as well, and is in and out of different conferences. And people know Kieran. Yeah, he's excellent. You should know him. We will introduce you.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's my question: do you think it's my sense, and this is, I think, not just because I know you and Bob, but because I've talked with others in the industry and I hear your name pop up, Liberty Mutual has a reputation, even as a regulated company, for being pretty open to new ways to do things. Is that a fair reputation, or do you think that do you look at yourself and the work that's being done at Liberty Mutual as no different than any other insurance and financial institution?
So it's an interesting question, and it's a hard one to answer, and one we try to answer all the time. So I've been at Liberty for 19 years. I kind of don't have that perspective anymore, right? Like, I have Liberty perspective. And when you're in your own house, you always see the sort of problems or issues or opportunities around your own house, and it's hard to understand.
Opportunities.
Yes, opportunities, right? It's hard to understand exactly sort of where you fit. That being said, as I've sort of explored the ecosystem, if you would, around legal operations and legal technology, I think we are, looking for new ways to do things.
And I think it's a deserved reputation. I mean, I know you guys can't talk about everything that you do internally, but it is very clear to me that you guys are very willing to partner with, not just to buy, but to partner with some of these companies to think about how can we make this better. And I think you've also been good about sharing that blueprint with others in legal. I mean, I see you guys at the events. You're outspoken. You're participating. I mean, I was at the Alt Law event last year with Bob, and Bob wasn't even speaking on this particular panel, but was the person at the table who was reporting, here's what we came up with in the meantime, and just getting very involved in a way that's meaningful, kind of a rolling up your sleeves role.
Sure.
And sharing that with others.
Yes. So a couple of things. Yes, we are open to doing new things and looking for ways to do things because we have given permission, and not only permission, but a mandate from our general counsel to do so, right? So Jim Kelleher, who's our GC, is a born and bred Boston lawyer, and you would never think that he is such a progressive thinker. He is. He's learned all about artificial intelligence at MIT. He is extremely mindful about his people and about the fact that if we aren't sort of understanding what's happening in the space, that we're going to fall behind. And
is the proximity to the academic center, and you mentioned MIT,
yeah,
is that influential in how Liberty Mutual is thinking about some of these issues? I mean, you really, and it's not you're in Silicon Valley, but you are in like a very, rigorous academic.
You know what I think
community.
it is more than anything. Sort of the academics help, and it's nice that we have, perhaps one of the most, like one of the greatest technology schools in the world across the river from us. What I think is more motivating for us to be good at legal, so to speak, is the fact that it is core to our business.
All right, this is David Cambria has a great line about legal operations.
Yeah.
That it's a non-core function of a non-core function,
yeah.
Right? Because most businesses.
It is not core. If you think about it, legal is the cost of goods sold. We sell two things. We sell indemnification and we sell a defense to our insureds. The defense piece is the cost of goods sold, right? Like that is the expense. Our expense flows directly to our bottom line, and it is tied in with our product that we sell. So that, more than anything, and the leadership that our GC has shown has given us the permission to go out and really think about new ways to do things.
Do y'all make public the number of attorneys that you have internally? Is that a?
I don't know if that's a public figure.
It's a public figure, but it's
sure it's not.
You guys are a big department, though. Meaning
we have a large number of attorneys working for us.
You have a large number of attorneys, but you don't. You're not an attorney yourself.
I'm not.
But
non-lawyer. Yes.
Non-lawyer.
Yeah.
How does that affect your view of the discipline?
I think it's it's got its pros and cons. The pro is that I can sometimes come in with things with fresh eyes and see things and ask and really be permission to ask the stupid question.
The stupid question.
Yeah, well, the one that no one else wants to ask because everyone thinks that they should know it, but maybe they don't know the answer to it. But I just feign ignorance or maybe I don't fake it. Maybe I am ignorant of it because I don't necessarily have that education or that experience.
Can I tell you something? I was saying this last night to David Cambria when we interviewed him here, and I've had this discussion with him before. I think that law firms should rethink the role of junior associates in very similar vein to how hospitals, especially those that are training hospitals, think about training new doctors. And I don't just say this because and I think that the clients should have to pay for that. I'm okay with that. Now, you may differ with that particular point, but the reason I say that is I don't think it's just about training. I think that the reason that training hospitals work is that sometimes you need someone who asks ignorant questions, because for every 9 ignorant questions that have easy answers, there's one ignorant question where someone says, "Whoa."
Well, we have an attorney.
Thought about that.
We have an attorney development program. So traditionally, we tend to hire folks that have experience in firms for a few years and are looking to move into corporate. But we also have what we call the ADP, or the Attorney Development Program, where we're hiring law students out of school, and these are sought after roles. And we put them through a year and a half rotation where they're going through different parts of the organization within legal and sort of get a broad swath of everything that we do, so that they sort of have a base understanding and then can then apply for a position within legal after that. So it's similar to like a doctor's rotation. Right?
Do you ever see that happen where one of these people raises a red flag on something that no one had thought before? And
I haven't personally seen that.
But like I imagine that's got to happen, because I know in any business when you've got the naivete is
Buddhists call it beginner's mind, right? So you always want to come with it from a beginner's mind, right?
Beginner's mind.
Beginner's mind. You want to explain it to me like I'm a 3-year-old, right? Like, tell me this in very basic steps. Don't jargon it up or make it confusing for me. I want to understand it from the beginning to the end. And when you go back to foundational questions, oftentimes that's when you start finding solutions.
Because you've developed this reputation, and legal tech as a company that's open to rethinking new things, to rethinking processes, to rethinking how it is you do something, and essentially to improving your core function.
Yep.
Is your just email inbox loaded with pitches from tech companies and solution providers. I imagine, like, word gets around and you can figure out your email address.
I get a lot of email.
Okay.
Yes.
I get those emails. If you could change one thing about the way that people get in touch with you and say, listen, if you're going to get in touch with me, could you do it like this? Is there a way that you could make that process better? Or
I don't know if there's a way. I mean, everybody hates email, but it's a necessary evil, I think. And it's maybe not even that evil. It's just,
but even forget email. Do you feel like people reach out to you in the best way? Like, who's doing the best kind of reach out where you feel like that's how I want to be pitched? That makes sense to me. I mean, do you like a relationship first? Do you like people to just get to it? Do you like people to constantly follow up? Like I always wonder, because I'm not pitched on every legal service. Like, I'm pitched on legal services to write about it, and I know that I don't like long press releases, but that's not getting pitched on a product in exactly the same way.
Yeah, I guess. So you're asking a couple different things. So how do I want people to communicate to me? But then also how do I want to be pitched to, or how do I want to understand whatever it is that they're selling? I don't know about that. I what I will tell you is that I enjoy pitches that, well, even better than that. I enjoy products that are a good product and are not leading with a buzzword or, like it's not corporate bingo buzzwords and all the rest. I want to understand what it does, right? Like, just tell me what it does. Just show it to me. There's nothing more powerful than a demonstration. And if your product is good, your demo will be good. So that's the way I want to. I guess that's the way I want to see it. I haven't thought about that too much, though. So it's a good question.
You used a word I'm very fond of, opportunities. I think that there's a lot of talk about, you're going to need to change this, and legal AI and the Big Four and right, and we never talk about opportunities enough.
Okay.
But how do y'all think about opportunities that come from legal? Meaning, like, what are the opportunities for a company like Liberty Mutual?
So I'll try to answer your question in a couple of different ways. There's kind of the push and the pull is the way I think about it. So the push is emerging technology or solutions that exist outside of Liberty, and they're sort of pushing in on you, right? Artificial intelligence, blockchain, whatever technological buzzword you want to put out there, right? Or ALSPs, or
workflow.
Workflow, whatever it is.
This is the one that we were joking about in Chicago. Yes. But I have a lot of. We hung out at ACC Legal Ops.
Yes.
That term workflow is now becoming a buzzword that I feel like is confusing people, and I think it should be a helpful word, but it's one of the buzzwords. I mean, go downstairs, and every time you see a company with a with a banner or a printout that says workflow, take a shot, you'll walk out of here, you'll stagger out of here completely drunk.
I think about workflow as logistics. So my brother was and is an infantry marine, and he says
infantry marine.
Yeah, marine. He was in infantry in the Marines.
And is he active right now?
No, he's retired.
He's retired.
Yeah,
okay,
but he saw action, whatever. But he says, amateurs talk tactics, pros talk logistics. In other words, how you get in and out, right, of whatever you're doing is incredibly important. So that's why workflow is such a buzzword and so important. Workflow is the logistics, right? As soon as the magic works, as soon as the artificial intelligence extracts the information that you need from blah, 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 that gets immediately forgotten as soon as you start trusting it, and now it's all about how many clicks can I reduce. That's what workflow is. How do I get in and out?
That's the first time I've ever heard a definition of that.
That's all it is. Yeah, it's just how you do it.
Just how you do it.
It's just the logistics of it. Yeah, like where do you start, where do you end? That's your workflow.
It's so funny that you brought up your brother, only because the most talented lawyer from my starting class at Schulte, who ended up not starting with us, came from the military.
Yeah,
he was unquestionably, like, it was obvious as Summers, he was the best one. And I wonder, man, if we put some Marines, or if we put people with military experience into legal, I bet we would get just amazing results.
One thing they're good at is operations and project management. They're really, really good at that. You're really good at that. So they get stuff done. They execute.
So Casey Flaherty has a talk that he gives. He gave this when he was at our conference in Israel in July about the American military and about how incredible the achievements of the American military are when you compare to other.
If you look at other corporations,
they're one of the. They're just an incredible machine.
Yeah.
And he was saying that the word the FUBAR is developed by the military.
Yeah, all recognition. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So and he was using it as an example of how even the greatest organizations, when you look behind them, they've got all kinds of mess. Even the most. He was using the 1996 Chicago Bulls as another example of that.
Yep.
But it's interesting. I asked Connie Brenton a few years ago, who are the people who are in legal operations? And she's like, well, it's not all attorneys. She's like, a lot of them are CPAs. I'd like to see more people from the military in these roles. I think we might get some really interesting results, and it's not something I've actually seen.
No, it's not. There's not a
I
lot.
was talking yesterday.
Different companies might have different military profiles, though.
That's really interesting. I was talking with David Hasman yesterday. He's the head of litigation support at Brickell Eckler. They're a really innovative firm in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And he was telling me that he started working when he was 15 years old in e-discovery.
Wow.
And I said to him, 15, he was making $40,000 a year in high school.
What was it? It was like a clerk job or an internship or something?
You'll have to go back and listen to the podcast. It's like a whole blur for me at this point.
Yeah.
But what was amazing about that is that I heard that he said that it was actually kind of an issue when he started looking for work after college. That they were like, what's this? You've been working since high school. And I was like, man, if I saw someone who'd been working in a field since high school, that would be like an immediate hire. And I said there's two hires that I will always make. If I see two candidates who are the same, someone who worked in high school and someone who was in the military. Those to me are I'm guaranteed to get someone who's going to get shit done. And
most likely,
and
they have a pretty serious work ethic.
Yeah. So. Going back now to Liberty Mutual and the work that y'all are doing there, I'm curious how you evaluate, because I know y'all have done it. I don't know how much public you can make about it, but y'all have started to think about productization. This is obviously something that's near and dear to my heart, which is law firm and law department productization. Law firms, there's plenty of examples of it. Currently Chapman Cutler just sold a product to Net Documents, and Gravity Stack, whose room we're in, just sold a product to another law firm. But on the law department side, it's happening too. So I don't know if you saw this, but you probably know that Anaqua, the IP docketing company, was spun out by Ford and British American Tobacco, right? And right now, Bradley Gate and the team at Ford just announced that they're starting an IP incubator internally, and they want to lead the charge on that.
Actually, just spun off Cointech. Jeff Scherer's organization.
Keep going. What other examples are there? Because it's impossible to follow these. I can tell you there's a startup.
I don't know anymore, but
there's a startup here in New York called Cadre, and they've been doing an incredible amount of work around the productization of certain facets of legal. It's not like they're not selling a SaaS to anyone, but essentially they are a new kind of investment fund that's based in that's sort of built on tech. And they've been doing a lot internally to improve the legal process. But I'm curious how y'all think about building internally, building something from scratch, or building something yourselves, as opposed to always being in procurement. Because I think this is and I'm curious what else you've seen. And this doesn't need to be limited to Liberty Mutual. If you've seen other examples within other departments, but I see more of a leading of, I guess, more of a role where a law department takes the charge and says, we are going to be the leader on X, Y, and Z, or we are going to take this and productize it for others. You're certainly seeing it in law firms, but now I'm seeing it in law departments as well. And I know you all have tinkered with this idea.
So you should check out something called WorkGrid software when you have a chance.
WorkGrid
software is a Liberty Mutual owned subsidiary, I think. that is spun out by our IT department, group, whatever you want to call them, large business unit, and they're selling software that we created in-house. Then now they're selling it to the outside world. So IT, and I always tell people this, they never believe me, that there's a lot of similarities between IT and legal. There's a lot of similarities between developers and lawyers.
Similarities between developers and lawyers, I agree.
Yeah, because they both speak in languages that nobody else understands. They declare variables and call them later. I mean,
they both constantly change the development roadmap. I'm looking at you, Rishi, and your entire team over there.
In legal, we're also, we're an expense, right? We're a drag on the bottom line. If we want to do everything we can to lower the cost of legal for our insureds, but we also think that there might be opportunity for us to sell some of the stuff that we have. What are our assets? We have data, we have services, and perhaps we have applications. Some of those things might be interesting in the market, and it's something we're thinking about.
When you're making that case internally, I imagine that the pushback is, well, this is not necessarily core to our business, and this is something else, and this is something a startup should tackle. But what I've seen is the rest of the world actually does function this way. Meaning, first of all, look at like an example, like the big car companies today are all trying to build automated, drive. It's not just Google.
Yeah.
The car companies themselves. It's the power of the incumbents.
Yeah.
Eigen Technologies is as a contract review solution spun out by Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies will get into spaces where it's not necessarily their core business, but they realize, hey, listen, this could be very profitable. We should look at this. We should explore this as a stream.
There's not as much pushback as you might think.
Really?
Yeah.
Not as much pushback.
No, because it's all small right now. It's all sort of nascent, and if and when it becomes something that we take more seriously, I think it's
then you make a business case for it.
It's wise to think about how it might distract you from whatever your core is. But if it doesn't, or if there's a way to do it in a way that does not distract you from whatever your core business is, I think it's silly not to pursue those things. Like, we have assets, we have things that I think people will want. Why not make a business out of that?
Why not make a business out of that?
Yeah, why not?
Jeff, yeah. I first of all, I really appreciate you coming up here. I know that you guys, as much as you are really thought leaders in this space, I realize that having a conversation like this, you've got to be very careful. So I really appreciate you coming up. I've told people that I've talked to the industry and mentioned you guys repeatedly. I think you're doing an incredible thing. I think what I like about it so much is you'd think with the highly regulated industries, these are the ones that back off and are as bureaucratic and old and archaic as possible. But I know what y'all have looked at and how y'all are thinking about legal in general, and the fact that you've taken sort of a leading role in this, I think is going to be a really net good for the industry, and I hope it's a net good for Liberty Mutual too, because I think it'll make the case to others. The more success that you guys have, the more that others are going to want to get into that same game, and I think that's a net good for everyone. And
we also believe that and one of the reasons you talked earlier about Bob sharing so much, and first of all, you have to give to get, right? So we need to give things in order to understand what other people are doing, which is very important to us. It's where we get some of our greatest ideas, is understanding, oh, so and so is doing X or Y, right? And we steal like an artist. But the other thing, and probably the more important thing, is as it gets easier and less expensive to deliver legal services, we believe that the cost of legal overall can fall. And that is good for our policyholders. So that is a good thing.